This commenter is asking how I would work with a dog who is frustrated at not being able to approach another dog, and they're so frustrated that they can't disengage to food or to play. And my answer to that was that I would reduce criteria. If the dog is unable to disengage to food, they're unable to disengage to their human, they're not able to play, they're not processing information well, their digestive system is going offline, they are too aroused, I would not be trying to learn or work in that state of mind. And the commenter was talking about how frustration is really difficult because with a dog who's fearful or anxious, we can take space and that makes the dog feel better. It's a really easy way to reduce criteria. And reducing criteria with a frustrated dog might not seem as straightforward, and I don't know that it is as straightforward. And so if you have a dog who's already in that state and you're trying to move away, moving further away from the thing they're trying to get to can be aversive to the dog. So what would I do? So first, I just want to say this is why it's so important to correctly identify the function of the behavior. Because if we are treating something like fear and it's really frustration, we could try to do something reinforcing and find that it's actually punishing. We could be trying to create a positive association and accidentally make a negative one. So my approach would depend a lot on what the dog finds frustrating. Is it the appearance of the other dog? At what distance does it become frustrating for them? Does this frustration happen in any context or in specific contexts? So if I have a dog, for example, who gets really frustrated specifically in the context of being on leash, I might address that piece first before we even bring a dog into the scenario. And what that looks like is going to depend on the individual, but for example, it might look like working on a really long leash that's dropped and then working to hold that leash and then slowly shortening up the leash. That's sort of the process that I followed with my German Shepherd, who used to get incredibly aroused, very frustrated the moment the leash was clipped on in the presence of another dog, even if no one was holding it. The same dog that he was completely ignoring off leash. So just like with fear or anxiety, we can break down the stressor and into smaller pieces and work on those individual pieces out of context. Another thing I'm going to be doing for a frustrated dog is to look at the relevance of the trigger to their enrichment needs. So if I'm talking about a frustrated response towards other dogs, I want to know if this dog is getting enough social time and if they're getting social time that best serves them. So I want to make sure that, for example, their social time isn't just like really high arousal, go, 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 8 hours of daycare time. I want to make sure that the play that they're having is actually play. The other dog is also having fun. I want to make sure that they are able to be in a good thinking brain, that they are able to be at a level of stress that allows them, that we are seeing a good level of stress, so that they can be good, thoughtful, curious players, so that they can self-handicap, so that they can communicate appropriately. So in this scenario of dog-dog frustration, I would want to make sure that those dog-dog needs are being satiated appropriately. So satiated and satiated appropriately. I would also, of course, want to take sort of a big holistic look and make sure that the dog is getting everything they need to be supported in being able to manage big emotions themselves, to self-regulate. So are they getting enough sleep, for example? I want to make sure that they're not trigger stacked from other stressors. I want to make sure that they are... Shadow wants to join the video. I want to make sure they're feeling physically well. So I'm taking that holistic look as well. I am still going to work on a flight cue with a frustrated dog. And here's why. Frustration doesn't feel good. So even if we start with excitement, by the time we're frustrated, we are having a negative experience. It does not feel good to be frustrated. And so frustrated dogs can find relief by moving away. It just has to be intersected with all of these other pieces. And so we want them to be able to go, oh, I'm starting to feel overwhelmed in my body. Here's how I can help myself with that. And sometimes that means taking a break, walking away, and then engaging in behaviors that are going to help lower their arousal, which is also going to be self-reinforcing because it's going to feel good in their body. I'm also probably working on self-regulation as a general skill. And we have a video just a few back on a whole bunch of different ways that we work on the skill of self-regulation. To kind of go back to the original question of, what do you do with this dog who can't disengage to food or to toys, to their person, to the environment? We still need to move away. We probably need to take a break from the whole training session and reassess the setup. It may be that we need to start out with significantly more distance, or it may be that we need to meet the other dog first and have a play date and then do some of the work. It's going to depend on the individual. So the answer is reduce criteria, but how we do that for a dog that's frustrated isn't necessarily as clear cut as it is for a dog who's scared, where more distance is almost never the wrong answer for a dog who's scared. That's always a good idea. For a dog who's frustrated, we may need to plan ahead a little bit more in what the setup looks like, because if we get too close, moving away might make it worse before it gets better, and we want to try to avoid that. But the foundational rule that we need the dog to be in a learning brain still holds.